Let's go. Luca Nation, episode 723. And from the second we jumped on here today, I wanted to go live. Like I've been, chomping at the bit for today's episode, and I hope it's a masterpiece. I honestly do, because as we I can't believe that we are hitting record numbers. I could believe it from the consistency and the hard work that we put in, but I still kind of feel indebted to you guys for spending an hour with us on a daily basis to kind of hear what we have to say. And then even more so offline, when we're DMing each other, having conversations offline, whether it's on Discord or on Instagram or wherever it may be, a text. A lot of you guys have our phone numbers. So thank you, all of you guys and girls that tune in and support us. It's really a responsibility that I don't take lightly. I know Cage for sure does not take lightly, and we appreciate it. So I'll pause there. Welcome back to Lucas Tigers and Bronzo My, the greatest sports card podcast in the world. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'll pause there.
Greatest. Could it possibly be one day the only? I mean, do you see people disappearing from the space? Do you see?
I don't.
All right. Well,
I
it
know
doesn't
you
matter.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I know I can only speak for me, and I will not fall asleep nowadays if I don't get 10,000 steps and an episode in. So it's kind of like me now.
Stupid ask, who do you think is disappearing? Maybe I ask why you think that people are disappearing?
Well, I mean,
and if people in our audience actually agree with that premise and they've also noticed it, I'm curious to hear what they think.
I don't know. I think you have to look a little bit more for, just the regular kind of flowing content that was out there, when the going was a lot better. I think content is just another wing of the business. And what I mean by that is, just like I expect that there would be more people buying cards, more people selling cards, more people at shows when the going's good and pricing is going up and all that other fun stuff. Same thing goes for content. I expect there'll be more podcasts, more pages, more accounts, more people involved in the hobby. And when it gets a little tougher, you do see all aspects of participants in the hobby sort of start to leave. Same thing with NFTs, man. I mean, I'm not just saying this about cards. I'm saying, in almost anything, right? I mean, you've seen it. You used to be able to go on Twitter and it was, to the moon, bang, zoom, no matter what, it was there. Now it's like, oh, all right, well, this company just got bought for $25 million when last year they had a valuation of $5 billion, so crazy, so.
I believe in capitalism. I believe those participants will be replaced. There are always people leaving and trying to chase the shiny new toy. I think that that's happened as long as human history has taken place. People always chase the shiny new thing, the shiny new object. So the lack of participants or the loss isn't that worrisome to me. I do want to give a shout out, man. One of the ways that I do like kind of social anthropology, if that even makes sense, like kind of so understanding, who's hot, who's not, who really does it right, who doesn't, is by seeing people's comments when they post, because that's their community, right? You get to curate your community. And this is someone I don't know. Cool to get to know him. Santiago Sports. Shout out to Santiago Sports. Do you follow him?
I know who it is.
Jersey guy. He had like a 2-year update. And dude, tons, like 50, 60 comments on it in support of what this guy does. So like, we talk about influencers, all that stuff. People coming, going, all that stuff. I always judge people by their community and kind of what people say. And if you go to that post, 2 years, he got broken into, he's moved, now he's in a twice as big spot. Just judging by how he's done right by his customers, I wanted to give that guy a shout out. And I don't know him. I do not know him, never met him, maybe shook his hand at a show once. That's the extent. But I think it's cool to see, based on the community you're building and how you've done by your customers, what people say about you.
Cool. We should have him on.
Deal?
Santiago Sports. Come on, if you like. You can tell people why at the Wayne show I said hello and where's the prosciutto bread and you ignored me. And scowled at me.
Oh, you're going to get in the cage match. And I don't think that that's where you want to be, my friend.
So, I'm sure he doesn't remember, but it is what it is.
You offered him a prosciutto sandwich?
No, I asked listen, prosciutto bread was like a big thing with them when they were breaking in. Like they were putting out content out there. It was one of the things they were talking about. At their original store and their original videos. It was like a little funny, little laughy thing. Maybe he had a bad show. The show was wrapping up. He's putting stuff in his car. I asked him if he brought any prosciutto bread. He gave me kind of like a scowl, like, who the hell is this idiot? I was just trying to say hello. But it happens. Sometimes people have bad days. Sometimes people, if you swing the pendulum the other way, sometimes people think they're more important than they are. I don't know which one it is. But if we have him on, I can ask him.
Is that going to be the question? Are you more important than you are?
Yeah, that will be the exact question. Do you think you're more important than you are? I know I do. I think I'm way more important than I am.
You're introing that episode then.
You got it. I'll intro it. I'll do the whole deal. So, but that will be a fun episode because you are giving him compliments and saying how his audience loves him and, he's done great things in 2 years. I am giving you an example of the one kid who showed up at the Yankee game and, Mantle and DiMaggio talk about how they had to put on their A game and be on their best performance every single time because you never know who's going to, be saving up their money for that first and only personal interaction with DiMaggio or Mantle. And the kid's not going to leave, angry. So it's a real world example. And I'm guilty of it myself. We have, people who told me they were waiting to talk to me at Mint Collective or at National last year and just never got a chance because they didn't shut up and stop talking to whoever else it was that I'm talking to. So
you walked 6 miles with MBT and Manny burgers.
We grow. So we'll try to I'll try to do better at National. I definitely want to, interact with and meet as many people as I can. But there you go. This is what happens, man, when we don't prep shows. I didn't know you were going to go, straight to prosciutto bread.
Lamim had a post the other day. He's like, there's a SGC pump going on or something like that, right? And I agree with 99% of what Lamim says and his takes, right? Because he's not like saying like, this is what you should think. He's like he's a lens, right? He's like shedding light on stuff. But I think sometimes we overthink things from a business standpoint. I think, very simply put, people in the hobby want to get a service for what they pay for. And they want that service to be timely, fair, and transparent. I think those are the 3 things that we truly want.
Okay. We are sponsored by SGC, everyone. Just throwing that out there. Nice little legal disclaimer.
Right. So I know in the hobby that's a big deal. But in every industry, people are sponsored. Like Kevin O'Leary is sponsored.
Who's he sponsored by? Who's he sponsored by?
FTX.
How do you know that?
He said he's a paid spokesperson.
Okay, so he says it too.
Yeah. My point is every industry has paid spokespersons. Ideally, you want to be a paid spokesperson for companies you believe in that align with your values and morals. And if you guys listen to us from day one, we've been very consistent with our values and morals. I'll give you an example. You guys know that this is all I do. That's actually a question that comes up quite a bit. Is this all you do or you do something? This is all I do. So this is what pays the bills, right? And we had a sponsorship last year with HGA. That's a sponsorship that when it was no longer aligned with our values and morals, we walked away from. We walked away from that sponsorship and left tremendous money on the table, money that I need to pay rent, live off of, etc., when it was no longer aligned with our values and morals. And the same thing would happen with any sponsor, because we are kind of messengers on behalf of our audience. And if anything deviates from that, we have a responsibility to do that. So why I say that is SGC, regardless if they're sponsoring us or not, are doing what the hobby needs. They're grading cards for an affordable price, and they're staying consistent to what their timetables are. And they're grading them fairly and accurately. I'll pause there before we kind of deviate into other stuff. I just wanted to kind of shed a light on that, not to necessarily kind of even say SGC is doing it right. This is the blueprint. Do right by your customers, and you will be rewarded over a long-term horizon.
Okay. I mean, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do you think SGC cards sell on the secondary market for enough value to justify the cost of grading with them? Even if they get it back to you timely and it's accurately graded and all that other fun stuff, do you think the SGC cards come back and they've added enough value that it's worth that $30 increase?
I think it's an interesting discussion whether the grading company and the secondary market are kind of yin and yang. The secondary market is feels like a lagging measure, you know?
Mhm.
It's not something that, you know, if you do something right today, tomorrow the secondary market responds. It's if you do something right for 12 to 24 months, in 36 to 48 months, you'll feel the rewards. It is a lagging. It's like health. You don't necessarily lose weight all at once. You need to establish the habits, and then 60, 90 days later is when you reap the rewards.
Can I throw something out there? And it's something I'm guilty
Sure.
of myself and have been guilty of. And I think it's part of the, I don't want to say problem of the hobby, but it's part of the reason why the hobby has gone through what it's gone through over the last couple of years. I think the mistake that a lot of people make, myself included, is that I think what a grading company's job is to add value to your card. It's to take a raw card and make it more valuable. And then you do an analysis of, well, is my card's value going to increase enough to justify the cost of grading, the time sending it, the effort sending it, the shipping, the whole 9 yards? And I don't think that's supposed to be the purpose of grading a card. I mean, a grading card is supposed to be so that it's protected, so that you can confirm its authenticity, so that you can get a third-party analysis of the condition itself. And I think part of the amazing, run up, part of the amazing, period we had, for the last couple of years was because, grading became synonymous with adding value to your
Right.
card. And even my question begs that. Even my question about, hey, do you think SGC, the $30, it's worth it for the secondary market? I mean, I think, graders, obviously, they'd be lying to you if they told you that the secondary market doesn't come into play. They obviously have to pay attention to it. But in reality, a card grading company is supposed to charge what they need to charge to turn something around and give you something that is, an authenticity and a grade and a slab. I mean, that's what they shouldn't even be, worrying about
What the secondary market is
what the
doing.
secondary, yeah. But we, though, as the consumer, I think, if people are being honest, that's probably the first thing that goes into your mind. Like, I have a bunch of cards that I'm like, oh, I should grade these. But really, why am I saying I should grade these? I'm saying I should grade them because it will increase the value of selling if I wanted to sell them on the secondary. For some of them, I would say it makes them saleable. It makes them something that you could sell. I mean, you talk about like base cards and those kind of things.
Turns a good into an asset.
Yeah, I mean, and is that what the recent hobby boom was even built on? Taking something that previously was something that you couldn't even really sell and making it something that you could sell. What do you think?
Here's where I think there's a huge conflict of interest, and I think companies may have lost course or may have lost their original philosophy. So correct me if I'm wrong, Luca Nation, but when you're buying jewelry, you bring a ring in to get appraised, you bring a watch in to get appraised, you have to pay the person to appraise it to verify that it's accurate, right? What really bothers me, and I'm curious if you could shed light on your recent experience on this, is if that appraiser said this costs $50, right, to review this.
Uh-huh.
They review it. They appraise it. They're like, wow, this is actually a rare Rolex that one of a kind.
Uh-huh.
I know I initially charged you $50, but this is actually a rare one. No, this one I got to charge you $1,000 because this one's worth more. To me, that feels like the most. I've said this before. I've said this because this is before we had PSA, SGC as a sponsor. Freudian slip there. Now you know who I'm talking about. It felt like theft. It felt like because the value of my card is more, because the value of my asset is more, you're now charging me more for the exact same service. It felt incredibly unethical. And I haven't seen a single precedent in neighboring kind of industries, similar industries and collectibles and all that stuff, where this is a precedent and this is actually allowed. But somehow we allow this, and this just happened to you. And then it becomes a huge conflict of interest where we had the conversation, which was a few people. Lenhart said this. It was one of his favorite episodes where we talked about value versus comps. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What is even truly the value? So how do they derive what something is worth? Do they just go on eBay, go sold listings? Do they go to Card Ladder? Do they go to Market Movers? Do they go to Card Hedger? Who do they go to establish what maybe a Kamavinga, just off the top of my head, card? Would be.
There's a reason why I posted my thing in just the group and not on my page. But I guess I'm going to have to post that picture on the page now. But so here's the thing. I'll take the opposite side. I don't think there's any conflict of interest. And I think that, the upcharge in and of itself is because there are cost categories that are established. And I think PSA wants to make sure that they are tranching cards by value. So if you have a card that's got a value, you shouldn't be able to get it graded as a bulk economy value card. Like that is only cards that are worth up to $499. You should not be able to sneak that card in there because they want to make sure that they are giving you different service levels for your card based on the value of the card. Same thing an appraiser would tell you is, all right, yes, you have jewelry. If you bring in a gold chain worth, or a watch worth $1,000, we'll do that and we'll turn it around for you in a month. But if it's worth between $1,000 and $2,000, you're going to get our, B-level service, and we'll get that turned around for you within 2 weeks.
More
and then if it's worth
more higher pay, understand?
Correct. So more experience. Maybe it gets another look. Maybe and more importantly, it is on a different grading track. It's on a different appraisal track, right? So where it gets a little interesting, right, on the upcharging is. I understand that, and I understand they want it in the right hands, they want it in the right eyes. The argument is, if it's worth more, you're paying more, you should be paying more from the get-go, because at least what I say is it should be fast-tracked. It should get better analysis. It should be blah, blah, blah. If it's just the speed of it, then the upcharge doesn't make any sense. Because if you're putting it in the value sub, it's going to be as slow as can be anyway. Like, you don't get it rushed by putting it in a bulk type of sub, right? The upcharge is only if you've tried to now put a card in that by some measurement is worth more than the max value for that grading thing. And then I guess the argument could be that maybe once that is identified, it's removed from that group of value cards, and it's now taken to a more senior level person. It's getting a more trained eyeball. If it's an appraiser to use your jewelry thing, it's going to get somebody else to really give it the old scrutiny and the whole deal. And because of that, the service level has to be charged is more. I don't call it a conflict. The math that goes behind it is interesting, but it's no different than what a lot of companies here have to do, especially in a new asset class like cards. I mean, I made an offer for an item on Rally. I'll just throw the name out. I made an offer for an item, and I made an offer significantly higher than what the going price was, and I was told, we know it's higher than what the trading price is, but you have to come up because it's less than what the market value is for the price, which to me begs the question, well, how can what it's trading at be so much lower than what you're calling like a fair market value? It's the same type of analysis. And guys, just to throw it out there, I'll post it. And I didn't want to post it because I don't know what the answer is. And it's a very difficult situation, right? Because, some cards that PSA grades are very low pop. Pop 1 when they get graded, maybe pop 2 now, which is what happens. It's pretty interesting. But I had a recent PSA sub, and I mentioned this, where I had 2 cards upcharged. One of them was a PSA 8, all right? And one of them was a PSA 10. The PSA 8 is a Tomy scratch, 1997 unscratched Charizard that came in a pack that was given to me by Yamwax. Thank you, Yam. You're the man. Love you. And I got an 8. Now, I think
Yam pay the upcharge?
Yam does not pay the upcharge. I pay the upcharge. And also, I opened up some, I think it was Topps Finest. I got a couple Kamavinga cards. I got like a pink, a green, and an orange. The orange is out of 25. It's number 25 of 25. And I got a PSA 10 on that. And I don't know how many of them there were. I don't know, how many, but there were definitely like not too many on eBay. And, and there's no real comps on it because they don't really, don't really come up that often. I've seen what raw ones sell for. But anyway, I put both of those cards in with other cards, with a whole bunch of other cards. I think 20, only 19 got graded back in beginning of April. Logged in April 15th. By the middle of June, I was advised that I had 2 cards to be upcharged, these. and they were upcharged, double upcharged is what I'm going to call it, because there's a $50 fee for I think up to $4.99. Then there's a $100 fee for up to $14.99, and then there's a $150 fee for $14.99 to $24.99. So I was told I had $100 each upcharge on both of those cards, meaning that by PSA's standards, those cards should sell for between $14.99 and $24.99. Now,
in SGC, in a PSA, in a PSA slab.
In the slab, yes.
Even though their charges, they're up to $299, up to $1,000, up to are based on raw cards. Prices.
I don't know that they're based on raw price. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that it's based on a raw price. I always try to put in a value on what I think a PSA 9 would go for, because I'm never going to assume that I'm getting 10s, especially in today's day and age. And that's why I thought those cards in PSA 9 were definitely under that $599 number, under that $500 number. I'm not saying that they're going to sell. And I also want to, very, very interesting here, okay? Because this happened to me before. I talk about it with Mbappe, right? And the upcharge on the Mbappe cards, I literally had them graded at the exact height. And by the time I got them back, I get an upcharge on 9s, right? This was the first time I ever got an upcharge on an 8. But I got them back, and by the time I got them back in the mail, they had dropped 30% in price, and the upcharges made no more sense. But here's the flip side, and I'll get to the final point on that. I am not complaining about this. I'm not. I personally will not ask for a refund. I personally do not care about this. It is something that we're bringing to the fore because other people have. I guarantee that during the course of the last couple of years, while PSA held my cards, right, I got back cards from them that sold for more money than what the grading group should be. So when it's all on balance, right, I guarantee that I paid value prices for cards that I sold for more than what the value max is, at $4.99. I'm sure when it on balance that there are cards that I should have been upcharged on that I wasn't. Probably way more than just these couple that stand out that I am upcharged on. I don't know what I will or won't be upcharged on, and that's a consistency argument. If you want to go down that road, that's fine also. But I will not complain. I will not say, hey, I want a refund on this. I'm not emailing PSA for that back because on balance, my grading history with them, I think I'm doing fine. I think they've done a great job on my account. But as we sit here today, the Kamavinga is like Kamavinga has. I listed these cards among a bunch of other cards with Rick Probstein Auctions on eBay. They're ending tonight. So by the time you listen to this episode, you can't call me a shiller because this episode will probably be out after these things are already sold. So you guys can go look and see what they sell for. I think they're selling at 10 p.m. So by the time you guys listen to this, you probably will, the auctions will be over. So that's good. I'm not pumping my own bags, and I did not want to bring this up. But I think the last I looked, the Kamavinga was $102 with a few hours left. Now, I know it's an auction, price go up and the whole 9 yards. And if it sells for $3,000, I'm not going to be like, hey, PSA, you should have charged me more. It won't, because, of course, while I was waiting for it to come back, another one got graded a 10, a second 10, and that's listed on eBay for $1,700 by now or best offer. So chances are mine's going to probably sell for less than $14.99. And the upcharge is not exactly warranted. Now, that $1,700 card was not there when PSA made their assessment, but Magic 8 Ball or whatever it is that they were using to come up with the value. I don't know what the Charizard told me PSA 8 is going to sell for. That's at like $202 right now. Neither of them. I got to tell you, I didn't know what they would sell for. But when PSA upcharged me, I kind of expected by now they would probably both be around $1,000. Get some more bids in, but they're not. They're at like $300 combined between the two.
You're not getting your grading fees back, though.
I don't want to get my grading fees back. I said that.
No. I mean, I hope that the cards sell for more than you've paid in grading.
Well, I hope. Well, right now the Kamavinga is less. Right now the Kamavinga is less than I paid to grade it. 100% with a few hours left.
Orange. This is out of 25.
Orange out of 25. Yep.
Of a pretty sizable prospect in the soccer world. Plays for Real Madrid.
Yeah, but who knows? I mean, and the thing is, you know what? I mean, I think the better way to do it is, look, PSA probably wouldn't want to come on the show because we're sponsored by SGC, but I would love, and maybe they don't have to come on the show, maybe they can have some transparency and say, when they do these upcharges, what goes into their math? Do they use card ladder? And what if it's a card that's not on Card Ladder? Do they use? I mean, if it's a card that's just recently graded, do they use comps? Like, do they look at what? Mine's out of 25. Do they look at 1 out of 10 sold for, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 99, and they just come up with sort of? I'm sure there is something there. It's just we don't know what that is, and if you don't know, and the company is not giving you guidance on it, then when you have issues like this that happen, people are left to kind of wonder and think the worst.
We've had a lot of discussions. Oftentimes, when I kind of fly off the handle, you have a very compelling argument as to kind of. Okay, I see what you're saying. I still think this is the most unscrupulous activity in the hobby.
It's not. Literally, it's not unscrupulous. It's not theft because it's right there. First of all, you do not have to send your cards in. And when you do send your cards into any grading company, they have rules. They have guidelines. And they're published on their website. And when you decide to mail your cards off to them, you are bound by those rules. The same way as if you go into a stadium, and you're caught doing something, kissing somebody on the kiss cam, whatever it is, they can use your likeness. They can use your face. They can make a lot of money off of that kiss cam of you and whoever it is sitting next to you, smooching it up or dropping a beer on your own head. They can make millions on your stupidity. Why? They can also throw you out, basically for any reason they like, because it says it on the back of the ticket. Because it's a licensee situation, because that's the rules. And by
walking in,
you're agreeing to their rules. 100% right. And when you walk into a grading company, when your cards walk in, you are now subject to their rules.
Do you live? Oh, man, we're going to get fucking.
Yeah.
Ethics versus rules is a fascinating discussion. I mean, ethics is a whole. Is that a semester in law school?
It's a whole class, and you got to take a separate test. In New York here, I had to take not just the bar, I had to take an ethics exam.
There's a lot of things that are the rules that kind of I don't know, man. I'm you just feel that this is not ethical.
I don't, not at all. I don't. It's different. Sometimes different.
It's different.
No, because the other grading companies don't do it.
It's unethical.
What's unethical about it?
Because your card is now deemed to be worth more because it's in a piece of plastic. We get to charge you more for the exact same service.
I don't think that's the case. I think that the card has always had that value. And what they're saying to you is they're leaving it up to you. It's honor system. You're the one who's being unethical by sending a card in the wrong tranche of grading. You're the unethical one. They're just doing an analysis of what you should have done.
Raw Kamavinga out of 25 is more than $4.99.
Who says raw? You know what you need to do? You need to go onto the PSA website. No, I'm telling you, you need to do this. You need to read. But sometimes you have to use your eyes before your mouth.
Go read. Too long didn't read.
But even if you did read it, I know you didn't read it, but if you did read it, you will find nowhere does it say that their valuation and their tranches of grading are based on a raw card value. It doesn't say that. So no, I don't think the Kamavinga raw would sell for $4.99 or more, but I don't think that's how they calculate.
In a world where these are NFTs, these are non-fungible tokens, where it's very difficult to assess the value of something, I don't think it's ethical to charge based on your own subjective opinion. I think it's a conflict of interest to charge based on your own subjective opinion of what
I understand what you're saying, but I think we have to give PSA the benefit of the doubt that it's not their subjective opinion. I'm sure that they are utilizing objective data to come up with that opinion. And we don't like it, right? You sit here and you say, man, how can they upcharge me on this? This card's not worth that. And I'll actually have some objective data afterwards, right? I will have a sale. But even that sale, if a sale comes in, let's say the Kamavinga sells for $800, and I'll be like, guys, you charged me $50 extra. It should have been the under $14.99. It was over. I'm still wrong. I still sent it in a grade that should have been under $4.99. And more importantly, that's just one data point. That's just one sale. They could say, well, you should have sold it through Golden. You should have sold it through PWCC. Why did you sell it on eBay? Why did you end it on a Thursday night before a holiday weekend when people are traveling? And maybe that's just right. It didn't sell for enough money. The same thing should apply.
Back to my original point.
Yeah.
These companies have lost sight of what they do. They're not consultants. They're not any of this other shit that we've talked about. They are card graders. Card grade done in a timely manner. Here's what it costs. This is how long it takes. This is what you get for it. They've completely lost their mind. And the reason why is because of this control. But I think it's an illusion control because I think the hobby is much smarter than they give credit for. Similar to what I think their post is today, but we'll leave that up to
you know what I think it is, dude. I think you're thinking like an old man now, and I'm gonna school you now in the.
I've been really spot on with these.
The Gen Z way. Ready? You know what
I
you
called
sound
BGS
like?
way early. I called BGS way early when they had no customer service, they had no comms, they weren't doing and keeping the promises they made to their customers. You guys could go back to our September, October, November of 2020 episodes.
For PSA, what your complaint though is that they're just doing it differently. They're card graders. They are card graders. They're grading their cards. They just have a different pricing.
They're market makers.
But you say that, but you all the issue is that you think that they should just be taking cards in and getting them out as quickly as they can for one flat fee.
And now they're deciding what something's worth. And based on what something's worth, even though they have no expertise in what something's worth, they are deciding how much to charge people.
Okay, so Blockbuster Video and Hollywood Video and all the video stores that ran it, Blockbuster was the behemoth, right? They used to have a model. And it was the model for stores, mom and pop stores, you name it. That was how a video store was supposed to be. You would walk in, you would pay a flat price, and for that flat price, you got one movie. For $3.99, you got it for 3 nights. If it was, you got it, and that was it. You had to bring it back. And if you didn't bring it back, you got an upcharge. You got a late charge.
It was $45. It was more than the
late
cost of the movie.
So you had to bring it back. It was a specific time you had to bring it back. Hollywood Video followed suit. All the mom and pop videos followed suit. You name it. And if there was a podcast at the time call it Popping Corn or whatever the hell it is, they would have said these video places, they're supposed to do this. They're supposed to let you get a new release. They're supposed to let you get a video. You are supposed to pay $3.99 for it. And these Netflix weirdos, what the hell are they doing? I don't have to go to the video store. They're mailing me a disc. I get to hang on to it for as long as I want. And I get to send it back myself through the mail. And then wait, now these lunatic from Netflix, they're just going to stream it to my computer. And they're going to charge me a different price based on a monthly usage. It doesn't even matter like how many movies I watch. Oh my God, I can hear Andrew Goldberg now saying that Netflix is nuts. They have their model is not the way it's done. Video stores are supposed to rent me one movie at a time, charge me one flat price for it, and only charge me if I'm late.
They improve the user experience, and they give you more for less. This company has given you less for more. You're messing with me, dude. Come on.
Listen, you are fighting against Netflix. Just because they do it differently doesn't mean they're doing it wrong.
You are what we call a PSA apologist. Skewer him and stop DMing Cage. DM me. I'm much more fun to talk to.
It's fine. Listen, they know. But I'm not an apologist of anyone. I think that everybody.
The CEO lives in New York and they're based out of California.
Who cares? That's not first of all, that has nothing to do with you. What do you care where their office is or where their CEO is? Why do you care?
The body follows the head.
Okay, I understand. I tell you, I grade cards. I grade cards at PSA. There are certain cards of mine that I will grade with PSA. I have cards at PSA now. They've been there for a while. It's a 5-card submission at $50 a card. They've had it for a while. It is what it is.
Since day one, you are the biggest PSA fan I've ever met.
Yeah. I mean, listen, SGC does a very good job, and there is a lane that SGC is very, very good at, and the lane has widened. I will most definitely say that. But
you know why we're hitting record numbers? You know why?
Because I don't lie. Because
we can disagree about things. Because we're clearly on opposite sides of the aisle on this one, and I think people respect this dialogue.
Listen, I will tell you, and you know what? If SGC wants to call us up after this episode and say we're pulling our sponsorship, that's fine. I'm never gonna lie. SGC does a great job, but I think PSA does a good job too. I do, and I grade cards with both of them. And I think there are certain cards that look better in an SGC slab, and certain cards that look better in a PSA slab. And I think there's certain segments of the market that SGC does better, and I think there are certain segments of the market that PSA does better. And I'm also not going to lie. If you look at my PC, 99% of it is in. Well, not anymore. I got some Beckett stuff, so we can throw them in also too. But it's PSA slabs. I mean, I cannot come on here and say no. All of my collection is in an SGC slab, but it's just not true.
And I can't come on here and let you say that PSA is Netflix. So, with the time, 35 minutes in, let's shift gears. Deontay Murray to the Hawks.
Is that how you say his name? That was one I was going to ask you.
Deontay.
I don't know. It's a Deontay? There's no J.
Well,
the J is
south of the
silent.
border, maybe you like a little spice. Deontay Murray.
Is it Dejounte? I don't know. I honestly didn't know. I mean, he's a great player.
If Nick Batum says it's probably Dejounte Murray.
All right, Dejounte. All right.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. That's what I'm asking. I was going to ask you this question.
3 first-round picks. And Gallinari went?
Yeah, Danilo Gallinari.
Gallinari and 3 first-rounders for Deontay. First thoughts. You don't watch the game, so why?
First thoughts. Yeah.
How's that migraine of yours? Doing better?
It's killing me. It's gotten significantly worse since you started talking.
Shut up, Andrew.
My headache is bad today. It's bad. But anyway, listen. So here's the deal.
Does this make you feel better?
I think it's telling, right? The Knicks, I think, were supposedly in on this also, and I think the Knicks could have given the same, if not a better package.
Can you make your eyes cross-eyed, Cage?
Yes. I don't think people want to. I don't think people want to play for the Knicks. I mean, listen, Trey. It is a weird pairing with Trey. I mean, I do watch the games, bro, and they both seem to be pretty on ball. So, what happens there? Does somebody have to play off the ball? I mean, they both can't drive. It'd be weird to watch them both bringing the ball up, at the same time. It'd be kind of interesting, right?
The NBA is built for the middle gets squeezed in the NBA. And it's someone wrote a good word in our Discord. It's purgatory. That 10 to 20 spot, it's like you're not in, but you're not out. And that's where the Hawks are. And it's very, very worrisome for Trey holders. But I do think that they're going to come out the gate really hot. Because if you guys remember last year, they started so slow, so poorly, all that stuff. I think they come out the gate strong, but I do not think that long-term this helps Trey. I think I'm as bearish on Trey and the Hawks as it gets, so keep that in mind, please. But I think adding somebody who is basically an identical player to Trey is not a benefit. Adding another point guard to Trey is not a benefit. He needs shooters. He needs spacing, so it's easier for him to get to the cup. And I don't see how Deontay Murray brings that to him. And I think the whole steals thing, steals is great and defense is great, but defense is more of a team thing than it is an individual player. Adding one player doesn't really do much defensively. It really doesn't. You need a system where all the players buy in, and I still think that Trey is such a liability where in the NBA there's always pick and rolls, and they're so easy to get him in mismatches that adding Deontay doesn't solve that. It doesn't. And then there's a latter thing of can Trey play off the ball where Deontay gets to run the offense 23% of the time? I don't see it. I don't. So it'll be interesting. I know you have a headache. So I want to be
listen, I think you're – go ahead.
What's top of mind for you? Anything that you kind of want to jump on here, Well,
I'm curious what happens in free agency, right? I mean, I like Harden's move from an optics perspective. He did not opt into his $37-point-something million, option or whatever the heck it was, $40 million option. And the headlines on that are going to be great for him, right? Because he's going to make himself out to be the anti-Ben Simmons. And Philly, maybe more than anywhere else, how the fans perceive you will impact your life. Maybe more. I'm in New York where we take our sports seriously here, but Philly may be that city. Where Ben, you're done, but now, even though he's not being altruistic, right? He'll still get his money. Harden's still they're gonna restructure the deal. It's gonna be less of a hit now. It will help the team with flexibility and allow them to maybe compete this year by going out and being able to sign somebody that they wouldn't have been able to sign if he opted in. But the headlines are gonna be Harden's unselfish move for the team, even though he's gonna get his bag. Don't make no mistake. That could actually be an off-court bigger piece of news than anything else, because Harden, look, his numbers were down last year, his percentages were down last year, but if he comes into the season with the city behind him and an off season to work with Embiid and the team, and maybe because of this move, a third piece, Philly could make some noise. I'm not saying they're going to win the title, right? But Embiid is top 2 MVP for the last 2 years. He got Harden there.
And people sleep on this. DeAnthony Melton. It's like an oddball piece that no one talks about, but it's these things that help subtly a team and hurt another team. So the Grizz, I'm really interested to see how this Grizz come back. I totally agree with your take on the Sixers. I think they're 1 or 2 pieces away.
And it's nice headline-wise, right? Because you have Harden on one coast opting out, and you have Westbrook on the other coast opting in. You have Kyrie opting in. Harden, by doing this, even though, like I said, he's going to get his bag, they're going to restructure it, everything will be fine, he puts himself in a different category, and he might have been trending more into the bucket of Westbrook and Kyrie from a personality standpoint. And with one move, he's now out of that. And does that have a card impact? Does he gain more fans because of that? These are the kind of things that I look at, from how does that news transfer over for cards.
Dude, I didn't even think of that angle. You're 1,000% right. Philly's kind of a boring city. Like when people go to Philly, they cheesesteaks, right? Mm-hmm. Well, after you've eaten your cheesesteak, you're like, what the fuck do I do now? And you talk sports. Like that's why this city loves sports. It's like, Miami, people always said like, why is it not that much of a sports town? Even though teams are good, it's because there's so many different things to do.
Yep.
So you're competing for attention. Philly, there's nothing to do. Nothing. And in the winter, forget about it.
You guys could have fixed the damn Liberty Bell by now. I mean, it's a crack. It's been there for like 200 years. Just fix it already. You got nothing to do? Work on that.
Dude, everyone talks sports. They're so passionate. And you're absolutely right. If you could win that city, you could do something. So that's a great, great point, Cage. And the Grizz, man, I just want to say, like, they're a young team coming up. When even these like little like 6th, 8th, 10th guy leave, it does change the dynamic, because I think what the Grizz have is they're insane tenacity. Guys, if you're not listening to the JJ Redick or Draymond Green podcast, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're just absolutely doing yourself a disservice. If you're a card collector and you're looking for intel from primary sources, listen to both of this. And the episode with Stephen A., Draymond, and JJ that just came out was unreal. And Draymond talks about how oblivious the Grizzlies are, actually to their benefit, because they're so young. They don't know the magnitude of the moment. They're all coming up young, And then once now they're in the 3rd, 4th year, you start pulling pieces apart. Does Brandon Clark leave? These things look subtle, but they really are like a canvas. It's strong, but once it starts tearing, it's easy to rip apart.
The numbers are crazy to me, but you know who I feel bad for? There's one fan base that I feel a little bit bad for, and you wouldn't think it, right? No. So, and we could wrap with this, or we can, we can continue on a little more, whatever you like. I have a question for you, a trivia question, because the numbers, Bradley Beal opts out of an almost $40 million deal. LeBron's going to make this much. Westbrook's going to make this much. These guys can sign for max contract, $200 million, $238 million. All this, the salary cap's up to $123 million. I saw a stat. Please, guys, don't hear me if I saw this wrong today, but I think I'm right. There's one franchise that has never awarded any of their players $100 million contract, not a $200 million, which a lot of these guys have gotten. Nope. I said I feel bad for the franchise. Nope. And you're helping me by guessing, prove the point, because it will surprise you, I think, because it is a franchise with historical success. And I think the point I'm trying to make, when you hear this name, you'll hear, and you'll say, well, you know what, that makes sense, because they had success, but not in the big money period, right? Not now. And maybe they should think about opening up their wallet. And I would say maybe one of the big names, perhaps the biggest free agent name,
I have no idea, man.
Somebody who is on that team, who has become a free agent this offseason, and I haven't heard anybody say he's going to stay with that team. Most likely because they're not offering a contract more than $100 million, and they would have to in order to keep him. I'm talking about the Chicago Bulls.
Wow.
The team of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and all of those championships. If the stat is correct, and I saw this today on ESPN, ESPN2, whatever it was, they did a little trivia. The only team in the NBA that has not offered $100 million contract to any of its players is the Chicago Bulls. And Zach LaVine. Have you heard Zach LaVine's name attached to staying with the Bulls? No.
I thought he was going to stay. I thought it was a shoo-in.
I mean, but free agency starts a couple hours after we record this, so who knows where he's going to be, and he may very well stay. But that's an interesting thing because you wouldn't think that with the Bulls because they've had some real talent go through there. You would think, but think about it now. Who has been
won 6 championships?
But that $100 million contract didn't happen until well after that. Yeah. But let's think about Chicago for a second. Who would have been their guy? Derrick Rose? I mean, he's gone. Who would have been the guy that did it for the Bulls? I mean, LaVine, Lonzo. I mean, who's their guy? Is Ayo Dosunmu going to be the guy who?
At one point that last year when they were all healthy, they were a threat. They were a threat. I wouldn't say they were a threat for sure. That's interesting. That's a great little tidbit, man. I
mean, DeRozan is probably valued, but he was a trade, right? DeMar DeRozan was a trade, right? So that's not a They didn't give out $100 million contract to him, So interesting, right? Because I mean, the Bulls, I like how you went Spurs, right? Because you thought to yourself, all right, this is a team that's doing it right. It's like Tampa Bay in baseball, right? They get their wins based on based on their talent, not just their checkbook. But now with max contracts, double that. You would think they'd have to give $100 million contract out at some point to somebody soon. One last little tidbit, guys.
Jalen Brunson to the Knicks is a joke, by the way.
Is that actually going to happen? Because if he gets a max deal,
I have a theory. I
just don't think anybody's going to play there.
I would say NBA is 80% real and 20%. I don't want to say manufactured, but I'll go this way. Like for some teams to be great and fantastic, and you need teams that are bad, perennially bad. I think there might be something going on behind the scenes where the Knicks aren't intentionally just like I know we got a good valuation. We have the best real estate in the world. I don't care about winning.
Well, listen, the Knicks were an answer to one of my other trivia questions, and I think there's rumor mill that they're gonna sign R.J. Barrett, redo his deal, and so that will now be they'll re-sign somebody since Charlie Ward. My little trivia question. Maybe Barrett will finally break that. I think Brunson. Listen,
I have a trivia question for you to wrap, by the way, but finish your point.
Brunson is a perfect example of a team valuing him as what he might be instead of what he is. And if they're right, they'll be rewarded for it. A lot of people think Brunson.
They can't be right.
Why can't they be right?
He doesn't have it. Like he doesn't.
How do you know?
Well, his ceiling. Like we all know what someone's.
How do you know? No, how? You haven't had a chance to see what his ceiling is. And I talked to Buster about this, actually, because, Buster's a huge Knicks fan. And I said to him, can this really be true? Are they offering max or near max money? And he said the team really likes him and that you've never really seen this other gear that he has because he played with Luka. And Luka's the most ball-dominant NBA player now and possibly in history. So you haven't had a chance to see what Brunson is. Now, they could be wrong.
Remember Andy Roddick?
Yeah.
He was phenomenal, right? And he had an amazing serve. But he was athletically very limited, and there was just no way he could compete against the best. He was always right there.
Yeah.
We all have ceilings.
He's Goran Ivanisevic. Great service. The game is not there. I get it.
Not there. So you just know, you're like, okay, this guy's phenomenal, biggest heart in the world. But if this is your number one, and this is the max talent, there's nothing you could do. You could work. You could be in the gym 24 hours a day. At the end of the day, talent is a huge part of the equation.
So I think the Knicks, look, a lot of it is part what you're saying. I don't think that they're tanking, but they have to put butts in seats, and a lot of people won't play there, and they're not going to get any other max deal. They're not getting Zach LaVine. They're probably not getting Kyrie Irving, although they were on his list of 6. But they figure, you know what? This is the guy to sign this year. We can have a backcourt rotation now of Quickly and Derrick Rose off the bench with Brunson there. We got R.J. Barrett. We have Obi Toppin, Mitchell Robinson. Like they can field.
He'll defend hard. He's a good guy, culture guy, leader. He'll work
can
with
field an exciting. Even Julius Randle is if he's not being asked to be one of the top 25 players in the NBA, he's fine. You know what I mean? You throw him out there, and I think they can field a good team. And I think that's probably what they're thinking. Nobody in there is thinking, well, we need to give this Brunson this much money because he's going to take us to a championship.
But you have to give him money anyway. So you're 1,000, and you'll go 41-41, 43-39. You'll have yourself a good year. You'll sell out. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. He'll make some game winners.
But maybe they can play meaningful games and develop R.J. Barrett and then move on, and maybe next year they make some trades and they can put it together. And, this is building towards maybe 2-3 years down the road. Before your trivia question, I have one little fact that I wanted to throw out there because it's valid. If the season ended today, and we'll do like a mid-year, like all-star break thing, I would be right in my I'll be right in my preseason prediction that the AL East would have 4 playoff teams if it ended today. And remember, about a quarter of the way through the season, I was yelling about how Boston sucked and how they need to pick up the slack because the Angels have a better record than them. All these other teams have better records than them. So Boston just did something that may never be repeated, ever. They're done playing for the month of June. Do you know what Boston's record was in June? They were 20-6 in June. They had a win percentage of over 75% in June. They were 20-6.
They're a good team. We've talked about that, right?
And they lost ground in the division because the Yankees were even better. They actually they won 75% of their games and lost ground in the division race because the Yankees lost even less games. I think the Yankees only lost 5 games. So, it's never been done in baseball history before. A team has never won 75% of their games in a month and lost ground in their division race, but it has happened. Congratulations, Boston Red Sox, on a great month. But unfortunately, you are further behind the Yankees than you were to start the month, even after going 20-6. It's pretty crazy.
Okay, man, I got more topics. All right, this isn't trivia, but trivia. Strongest player on the Warriors.
Strongest player on the Warriors.
Okay, come back. I don't want to be blurry.
Should I go Looney?
Steph Curry.
But what do you mean by strongest?
So
strongest mentally, by mental acuity? Strongest, like who can bench press the most?
Strongest.
What does that mean?
Overall, overall lifting.
Like who has the biggest quads and can leg press more? Who can bench more? I mean, what do you mean by how are we measuring strongest?
Okay, so I'll save you guys time. Dre was kind of walking you guys through in that JJ Redick podcast. The dynasty of the Warriors and talking about how adding Durant was what he really added. The weakness that he filled was someone that they could give the ball to and he could go get a bucket. Mm-hmm. At that point in his career, Curry couldn't do that because he'd still get bumped off the line. And he's talked about Curry's development as actually physically, strength-wise, and how much he's worked on that. And he was talking about how Horford in this series, there's this one play where you're trying to bump Curry off the line. And a few years ago, he would have bumped him, of course, and it would have been like kind of a floater. But Curry, probably foundation, I would say, deadlift, squat, bench, just kind of like the big muscle groups. He that happened. He didn't change course, and he finished with a layup. So that was really interesting to me. And we talked about how Curry looked stronger, but we always give credit to a LeBron, right? Like this guy works on his body, takes care of his body. Sometimes we don't realize it with the scrawnier guys, how much that matters too. And I thought that was just such a testament to how much Curry has worked on his game, which is shooting, but also worked on his physicality so that he can be that go-to guy when it matters, when it gets a little bit more physical in the fourth quarter. I found that very fascinating.
There you go.
I call bullshit. I don't think
Curry?
No, on Peterson. What's his name from the Braves? Braves.
Jock?
No,
Jock Peterson.
Freeman.
Freddie Freeman. Peterson.
That his agent.
Rooney. Rooney. Slow.
You
Peterson.
were.
Dude, do you know how many messages I got that people were so happy that you got the movie reference yesterday? Xander Cage, Triple X. You got it. People were like, oh my God, he got it. He got the Triple X reference. And now you got Ferris Bueller.
I got a chip installed in my neck with movie quotes. So I'll tell you, a lot of you guys out there they're like our family, right, Cage?
Yep.
So people have been messaging, Andrew, he doesn't look right. He's tired. His voice changed. I'll let you guys in. So do I have 60, 90 seconds?
You have as long as you want, man. I mean, I've just been telling people you're under the weather. You don't owe anybody anything.
Well, health is like a big thing in America. You guys don't talk about this stuff, right? But to me, it's not like a sensitive subject. But, well, I'll rephrase it. I don't like to talk about it. I didn't even tell you. So, Luca Nation, 10 years ago, I had this thing in my neck. It was like a cyst, right? So, they took it out. It exploded, kept me overnight, and it came back. So, it recurred when I moved to San Francisco. They had to take it out a second time. Good, nothing, no issues. 10 years later, maybe around June of last year, it started coming back. Like a cyst, it's called a branchial cleft cyst. And it started growing, et cetera. And it got like kind of to a point where I was like, I got to take this shit out, right? So last week I called Cage. I'm like, fuck, I hate doing this stuff, but I got to get surgery on Thursday. We talk every day. Think about that. I told you on Monday that I'm getting surgery on Thursday. I hate victim mindset. I hate complaining. I hate being a burden on people. I also know how much responsibility I have to lay off because I'm going to be under the weather. So anyway, Thursday, can you see it, Cage?
Yeah, stitches.
Gash.
I would say about 70.
Yeah, I didn't count them, but
it's a lot of fucking stitches.
But what the doctor did was he took out. Maybe I'll post it. Maybe probably not. But I'll show you guys. It looks like a fucking potato, like this 8-centimeter cyst. Basically, they took a PSA slab, no upcharge, out of my neck. And we tied back together. But I was under the weather. It hurt a ton. It was uncomfortable. Like it hurt to sneeze. So that's what I've kind of been dealing with. And today, I've been feeling a lot better. So I've decided, let me just go talk shit on people again. That's how my parents say. They always are like, Andrew, you know how I know you're feeling better? It's when your appetite's back and you're back to like chat. Because I talk that shit with my parents as well, you guys.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm happy to have you back. It was no fun doing episodes without you, which I did one, and it was no fun, trying to pretend that I had as much fun on Whatnot. I enjoyed my Whatnot time though. You might have to give me one or two of those days a week instead of you just doing them. Good stuff.
I'm Jalen Brunson. You're fucking Luca. No. I could work on my game all day, but I'm never gonna fill a room of 70 people. I'll probably get right to 69.
Well, yeah, my kids like that number. They laugh about it every time they hear it. So, listen, guys, well wishes to Andrew. We're glad to have him back. Feeling better. Thank you to our guests who did guest episode with us, and allowed us to work around, health schedules and all that other fun stuff,
And guys, if I didn't get back to you, I apologize. I'm catching up.
A lot goes into this stuff. You are you're the gas that makes this keep running. So just keep farting, my friend. No, but guess we're gonna turn this off, and you're gonna hear an advertisement for SGC and SGC subs if you're watching this on YouTube.
We got 100 in today, just today.
I want to make sure you guys know that, I think there are some real good grading companies out there. Andrew spent some time a couple of days ago talking about DCI grading and talking about, buying stuff from them because of the accuracy in their grades. I will tell you that, I love those guys. I mean, we see them at the shows. I'd love to have them back on, talk about what they're doing for national, and we love SGC. And SGC turns around the cards, and Andrew's able to, get these things back as quickly as he can for our audience members. But I'll also tell you, I just bought 2 very large BGS 10 cards for a lot of money.
You got the jumbo slabs. They still haven't figured out how to make those a little smaller.
And my PC is PSA, and I have submitted cards to PSA after they've opened on multiple occasions, and I'm not going to stop doing that because I think that one of the cool things about a lot of companies, competition keeps everybody honest. It gets everybody, as a consumer, we're getting better service. I think that what SGC is doing will make PSA better. I think what PSA did for the last couple of years has made SGC better. I think DCI coming in and doing what they're doing and providing accuracy in their grading is making everybody's grading better. So I think there's room for all of it. Obviously, we're here to kind of, flesh out some of the issues as they come up. I did mention to Andrew that I had 2 cards ending tonight that I got Upcharges on, and sometimes I can't even hold them back. It's just what happens. I mean, it's
not for public consumption. Don't eat this at the picnic table at the mall. I'm such an idiot. By the way, I do think that SGC doing things really well is what put pressure on PSA to drop prices. Again, my own personal opinion, but I do believe that.
But I think that's a good thing, and I think we have to talk about it, right? Because it's newsworthy. PSA changed it today. I mean, they're now taking in all cards, all years, for the same $30 grade. That's I think it's a good thing. You know what I mean? And what SGC is doing is a good thing also. And if you want your cards back next week, you can't send them to PSA right now. So I mean, there are different service levels. There are different things going on. As we speak, I have cards at both SGC and at PSA.
Absolutely right.
I just want to make sure.
PSA from 2021, cards at SGC from yesterday. And one company we didn't mention, who I am absolutely fascinated by, Rare Edition.
Yeah, you mentioned them a lot.
We've
never spoken to them.
Dude, I like watching how people and companies move, and it fascinates me because I think business is super cool because it's art and it's strategy and it's fascinating. I would love to meet that team because I think they're doing some things very, very well.
All right, folks, listen, we're trying to be as honest with you as we can. Andrew was just real honest. Look at this poor guy. I thought you were just shaving like a Raleigh Fingers type of like different mustache going on over there on the side, but now, I'm not going to make fun. It looks good.
No, and, people are a family. They love us for some reason.
You were able to make fun of me a little bit. Like you cracked on my hair a little bit, my product. You thought I should invent my own type of gel product, and I let it go a little bit.
Man, Ricky, I was hard when I said that.
It's good stuff, guys. Listen, we appreciate you. Can't wait to see you all at National. This is our last episode of June. July is the month we started. July 16th. We will start our 3rd year of doing this and not missing a beat, not missing a day. And Andrew started off the episode. I'll end it the same way, which is, I don't know what it is, but we have literally, the last 2 days have been our 1st and 3rd most listens ever. We set a record on these, and I mean, just the amount of listens, it's amazing. I don't know if it's people coming in from whatnot. I don't know if it's just, you're telling your friends, your enemies, and your neighbors. We don't know what it is, but whatever it is, thank you. Continue to tell people to listen. I think there have been some pretty good episodes too. And I think this one was pretty good also. So, we try to put our best foot forward on all these episodes. I know not everyone's going to agree with all of it. Let us know what you think. Throw some comments on YouTube, send us some messages, and if there's something you do want us to address, that's what we're here for every single day.
Might be your last opportunity to RSVP for Cigar Night. That's going to be locked in very soon. So if you haven't emailed me, I am Andrew Goldberg at gmail.com. Make sure to RSVP. That limited spots, to be quite honest. So make sure to RSVP on that. And with the Luca Tiger NFT project, probably free grading is a promotion that a lot of you guys have loved, taken advantage of. Strong likelihood that only people who have purchased a Tiger before National are going to be included in that promotion. So,
and we'll have something else for you Tiger holders soon enough too. Don't worry about it. We're you Tigers, the people who actually own Tigers, we're not going anywhere. I mean, if we've proved nothing, we're here every single day. So people who own that, the value is going to keep coming on that. Not just Cigar Night, not just free grading. There'll be other things.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is, 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com, or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.